I guess, right? Yeah. Alright. Let's let them do some talking and we'll just analyze. Do some pausing. So
Go time for Dan Smith.
This is a final table. $125,000 buy-in. What was it, like $3 million for first? So it's a pretty small field. First place is like a little over 20x the buy-in, so I'm guessing it's probably roughly 75 to 100 people in this, something like that.
Hand number one.
Dan Smith, pretty recognizable. This guy's been recognizable lately to me. I don't know this guy.
Of the final table, it's the short stack, tied short stack, Dan Smith with ace 10. Fearless.
Yeah,
So Dan looks like he's in the hijack here. He shoves 600k, which is only 6 blinds with ace 10. We're on the final table. He doesn't choose to leave any chips behind, which is interesting. Oh, it says field size right here, 93. Okay. Alright, is my camera in a bad spot? Let me see, because I'm blocking the blinds here, so let's see. Let's go, and then the card's over there, so this is probably the best spot, right? Maybe I'm blocking something else, but we'll see.
he has to jam rather than leave some back because he doesn't want to incentivize the big blind to get curious. But obviously, two queens is straight in there. Dan could be gone on the first hand of the final table.
Even against a quick call is feeling optimistic.
Well, Smith, no stranger to the highest stakes. Always gunning for the title, looking for the win. He's not interested in a couple of ladders. He wants to start off with a bang.
So my thing is blocking. So let's try to go a little higher, I guess. I guess here maybe. We'll go with that. Okay.
Get the wheel spinning in the form of a double up and then figure things out from there. Does pick up.
Was it really?
What's the quality at? 480. Come on.
Additional outs
I'll take it.
There we go. I was like,
on
what
the
am I watching here?
9-8-6. 7 or an ace. Now remove 2 of those because Brewer has the queen of diamonds in hand. Hand one player down.
Alright.
Dan Smith.
So he says, the commentator mentioned that he didn't want to leave some behind because he didn't want to incentivize the big blind to call. I mean, if you make it 4 big blinds, you do, instead of like your 6, you do incentivize a slightly wider range to play, but I don't think that's... I feel like that has less value than leaving some, like, 2 blinds behind, and if there's a multi-way all-in, you can fold easily, especially with ace 10. So, I don't know. I would prefer to leave some behind. And I think what he said is true about making the big blinds range slightly wider, but I don't know. I would rather leave some behind. I think it has more value.
Jamming his 6 big blinds from the hijack with the ace 10-0. Standard stuff all round. He's going to be heading to the cash desk to pick up $413,000 for his efforts. And with that, our first pay jump of this final table. Everyone guaranteed $540,000 now. Brewer moves up into second.
He's the Satoshi of the ICM model.
Like random rumors of like this new thing called ICM.
It'll change tournament poker.
Yeah, here he is.
What is that?
7 left, calling it off. When there's a 3 big blind stack out there. Oh, Jal.
One.
I think Vieira just has to go with it because Kiat's range obviously is very wide off of that shallow stack, and he's kind of the player who can potentially he can knock out his opponent, and you know you got a range, you got a perceived range advantage. You can maybe get that little pay jump yourself. I like this play, and I like that he leaves a little bit back just in case. There we go.
So Vieira did raise.
Yep.
Just
So hijack goes all in for 3 big blinds. Very standard with this hand. And then small blind calls off. And I think that's also pretty standard, so I wouldn't really... All looks fine there. I mean, these guys are... Most of them are pretty good. I guess there's going to be a few whales, but most guys are pretty... probably going to be spot on in a lot of spots, but I guess it depends who we're watching.
getting
From what I've
Tolerine
seen,
out of
this
there.
Jow guy seems to play relatively
Lee's in
well.
front.
I don't know the
58%.
Kiat Lee
Decent favorite.
gentleman here.
17th Triton final table for the Malaysian. Can he hold?
I think you're done, Kiat. Great start, not quite.
GG.
Dead on the turn. GG's indeed.
Thank you.
So Kiat Lee getting in his final 3 bigs
Thank you.
against João Vieira. Got it in good. That's all one can ask for. He got to double up against.
Running back? No?
Not this time. How about Ace King for our chip leader? Things have changed now, courtesy of that Vieira double up. Brewer is the shortest stack with 10 bigs.
Can Vogelsang show some restraint? Base 5 suited.
3 bet to
Should.
5 bet. Not the 3-5, Randy. Surely not.
No, just
Hijack versus
Just the
cutoff,
rip.
I think
Three
you wanna play
fold.
pure.
or just
Wow.
outright fold. That's really nice from him. You know, some players they just see ace 5 suited, feel like they have to go for 2 queens. It's
Oh
in
my
against the ace king.
God, this is first against third in
Pretty
chips.
sure the ace-5 suited gets played pure
With
there.
Brewer on 10 big blinds. Punsri is going to be running this one.
I mean, we're looking at hijack cutoff. 6-handed final table. We can't see the chip distribution though, but I guess we can kind of figure out if we just pay attention to the hands.
850.
After doubling up Vieira just the hand before.
Brewer has 10.
Scene 1 is folded.
Okay.
Maybe I should call. I don't know.
The classic incoming.
Queens is always ripping here.
God damn, someone work out how much this is worth. In EV.
Owen.
There's the jam. Good luck, chaps. I mean, you never want to see it come down to this. This is for overwhelming chip lead. This is for about 40% of the chips in play. With 6 left, if Ben can find an ace or a king, he eliminates Punat Punsri. He would then be overwhelming chip leader. If Punsri can hold, Tolerine is down to the shortest stack. 5 crucial cards to come. It comes ace, queen, jack, middle set for Punsri, top pair, top kicker, but more importantly, a gut shot for Ben.
What was that? Did you see that face?
A gut shot.
Wait. I don't know. Maybe it's not as funny as I thought it was.
Top pair, top kicker,
stop. I thought he was
Top
staring
pair,
at him
top
for a while.
kicker.
Very intrigued. I don't know why I found that funny. Okay. Where are we going here?
But more importantly, a gut shot for Ben. Drawing to a 10 and a 10 only. Doesn't find it. Punt gets the double. Now has 40% of the chips in play. And just like that, Tollering goes from chip leader to 6th in chips.
I mean, they weren't really like they
Playing
weren't
for
deep
millions
enough
of
to
dollars.
avoid any of
Everyone
that.
guaranteed
It's kind of the way it
686,000.
goes.
There's a lot more than just
This guy only had 25 big blinds. Oh wait, no, he had more. The other guy had 25 with the queens. Yeah, I mean,
money on the line, of course. There is
sometimes you can get away from like ace king in certain spots, but we're too short. This is not even close to the kind of scenario.
legacy. Makita looking for his 6th title. Punt, Brewer, and Tollering looking for their 3rd. Both Vogelsang and Vieira looking for their 2nd. Wow.
Ace king again for
That's
Tollering.
insane.
What are we looking at here? We're looking at 9 bigs.
Not
For
like
some
this.
vengeance?
I mean,
6-handed under the gun, 9 bigs. Just gonna open jam this. Could probably start open raising. Probably on a final table. Probably like more greater than 11. We could probably start playing this as an open raise, but definitely just ship this here.
I mean, it's a great hand, of course, off of his stack.
I hope so.
Okay,
Leave
he
the chip
agrees.
behind.
No action so far. Do we have anything?
Badziakouski has 18 bigs.
Oh, all in. What does VR got?
Jack.
2 jacks. Another coin flipping coming.
Alright.
Tollering once again, ace king.
Randy, what on earth is going on? It's been a gridlock since the departure of Kiat Lee. Tollering has held the chip lead for most of 6-handed play. And in the space of back-to-back hands, is he just going to be out of here in 6th? 2 cards to come. It's looking likely. Ace or a king needed.
Not a fun spot to be with, losing 2 pots in a row with ace king to get knocked out. And that's just how it
River
goes,
card
but it doesn't
incoming.
feel good.
Doesn't find it. And just like that, ace
Just
king
like that.
twice, unable to win a flip. First against queens for about 70% of his stack,
From chip
and then
lead
against
to
jacks
out in
of Vieira. For the remaining 9 big blinds, we lose one of the greatest to have ever played the game. Ben Tollering
Roughly how?
out in 6th for
Alright, that's great.
$686,000, and
Okay, next hand. So I guess these aren't
he's queen now.
consecutive hands, they're just highlights, but it
Vieira.
looks like consecutive.
2nd in chips. Now he's already been pounced on once by the chip leader.
I mean, you still just have to raise and just pray. Punt doesn't reshove on you once again, and he has 2 jacks. A collision incoming?
I mean, is there? I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
Punt will 3-bet this spot, and Joao
You
was
absolutely
strongly
three-bet
going to
and
consider
cover.
reshoving ace queen, expecting Punt
What do you do?
To just kind of
Oh,
leverage
okay.
that chip lead on him, you know? Like, I wouldn't
feel like
blame
that
Joao
sizing is way too
thinking that the ace
large.
queen is.
Maybe hijack dealer. Like, he's the big stack, so he's gonna be incentivized to 3-bet a shit ton here. I feel like you only want to make it like 700k max. I mean, 850 just seems like kind of an unnecessary amount of chips to put in.
Gonna just see a lot of folds if he was to put in the 4-bet all in. Obviously, we need to wait that
Banking
decision
for some reason.
if it's worth the risk, the chips we gain, relative to outlasting Brewer, who is very short.
I honestly, I don't know, Randy. I don't know what to do in this spot. You're second in chips. You just got jammed on.
You definitely jammed
Now
this.
the chip leader has 3-bet on you once again.
All in.
There's
all
the
in.
jam.
He agrees.
He's snapping.
Jacks.
So we are flipping.
I mean, that's an alright hand to see when you get snapped off.
We are flipping for Joao Vieira's tournament life. They both just won big flips. Punt held with the queens against Ben Tollerin's ace-king, and then Vieira held with the jacks against Tollerin's ace-king. If Punt can hold here, he's going to have more than 50% of the chips in play.
Good flop for Punsri.
77% equity now with 2 cards to come. And just turns Vieira dead.
Ace king, ace queen can't win a hand here.
Punt up to 12 million chips. And Randy, given that there's only 17 and a half
No. I always feel bad, dude.
I had no
million chips in play, title number 3 looks like it's incoming
Not much to
as we
commentate.
lose
Pretty standard
Joao
spots
Vieira
so
in
far.
5th. If anyone wants to wager some money for charity,
I mean, we could take a
I mean,
quick
I'll do it
look
for free.
at suggested 3-bet sizes. Final table, 6-handed. They're pretty short. So he had like 20 as the second in chips. Then there was a chip leader, so let's see if we can find a similar spot. And this kind of looks okay. It's not exactly the same. I think the average stack is larger than what we're looking at in the video, but hello. All right. Wait, this is not what I meant to click, is it? Oh, it's still loading. What is going on? Oh well. Okay, so he had 22. Hijack is 20 here, so it's not exact. Wow. Being slower than almost I've ever seen it before. Very weird. I wonder if it has something to do with streaming here. But yeah, you can see here button, it suggests just to raise to 4. So it's going even smaller than what I said. Button wants to only 2x 3-bet as the chip leader. And this guy went – think he went 850, right? 850 into 300. Like, it just seems unnecessarily large. Sure, he actually started 24 effective, so not 22. So, I mean, make it like 650 here. It's just a waste of chips. And like, are you gonna bluff with this size too? So that when you bluff and lose, you're folding extra. Like, that's the problem. Obviously, if you have a value hand, like, you know, it's like whatever. But you should be wanting to pair bluffs. And if you're missizing, you're gonna lose a lot more chips with your bluffs than you need to. So I just think that was worth pointing out. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I recognize this guy, but I mean, not just because people have been playing a long time doesn't always mean they're like doing things optimally.
Peter has 3 bet on you.
We watched this
Once
already.
in 5th.
Okay.
1 second.
Next
Jack
hand.
10 suited.
4 million.
It's going in.
Yeah. Let's see. What? Nikita's got Queen Jack, the dominating hand.
I have 250 behind.
The bigger.
So Brewer moves or jams the button for 8 big blinds. There's no way he's calling here. This would be like pretty big punt. So I
Stack?
can't imagine him calling. I don't know why he hasn't snap folded, to be honest.
We've
guess it's
seen
good to
Nikita
think.
just go for it, haven't we? If he
It's
feels
still
like
good to
Queen
think
Jack
about
is
it, anyway.
doing okay against the button jamming range, is very reasonable. He continues. It's a
It doesn't matter if you're doing well against the button range. When you're calling, the risk premium highly affects your calling range compared to like a jamming range. It's not even close.
7
In my
big blind
opinion,
jam.
I think this is a very easy fold.
8.
Hey, what's up, Metal Mario? How you doing? Yeah, no playing today. Is this an FT? How many handed? So we got 4 left. We started the tournament, or started the video at like 8 left or something. You haven't really missed much, like a lot of standards all-in spots for the most part. But yeah, I figured I'd try some like, you know, different content here. I have like 2 hours till I have like a yoga class, so I figured I'd just come online and you know, do something different and try to have fun studying a little bit. Maybe try out some other stuff, I don't know. But yeah. 4-handed. It's on the bottom left. Can you see that? 4 people left, 93 total players. 125k buy-in. I think they're playing for 3 million for first.
It might be pretty close here, Queen Jack off.
Yeah, you can't imagine calling me either.
Does also have Vogelsang
Wow.
Puts in the call.
That's
in the big
wild.
blind.
Vogel's got ace queen.
Well, well, well.
It's just 3
Let's
ways.
see here. Dealer, or yeah, button jams for 8 bigs, small blind calls, and we cover both. So we're way ahead of buttons range. So in this spot, we kind of want to just like look at. We want to think about small blinds range when we think about calling in the big blind here, because that's the stronger of the 2 ranges, right? And then when we have like ace queen here, I'm starting to think to myself, is Nikita going with ace 10 off? I would say yes. We're 2 pips higher and we cover. I'm not sure, like if Nikita's bottom was like ace jack off, for example, think we'd still go with ace queen off because we cover, but if we were covered in the big blind, we'd probably fold because these guys can bust, but we can't bust in this spot. So I think if Mikita's bottom was like ace jack off, we'd still call this. If his bottom was ace queen off, I think we fold this. But yeah, I think this is way too wide of a call. Maybe not way too wide. I'm trying to think of like I'm thinking king queen off is pretty close. I feel like I'm giving this spot too much credit and saying king jack off has a chance, but I just don't see it. This doesn't seem close at all. But yeah, Vogelsang has a pretty easy all in, I would say.
They're committed.
What was the shortest stack? It's hard to see the table distribution. I mean, we have 3 out of 4 players. I don't know what the other stack is. I think it's that the dark skin guy. I don't know, his name's like Chow or something. But I think he has a lot of chips, so I think Brewer is the short stack and Mikita is second to last. So Nikita's gonna have the lowest risk premium against Brewer compared to the other two because he covers them. So he gains a lot by winning an all-in versus Brewer compared to the other two because Brewer gets knocked out and he gets a pay jump, right? So that's how you kind of want to think about your adjustments a little bit. Like, we're going to have the lowest risk premium against Brewer, so our range is going to be the widest out of any other situation we can maybe be in. But I still don't think this gets in there. But
about to see.
Depends on distribution. I feel like I would take Queen Jack suited as a call. Queen Jack suited. Yeah, I think Queen Jack's pretty close. I might pass and just go with like King 10 suited plus, but I could see Queen Jack suited getting in there. Maybe as like the very last suited combo. I mean, we could kind of look at a spot if we're interested. I'm not really sure what I'd be. Let's go quick over here. Alright, we're four-handed. Smallest field is 200 on GTO Wizards, so we'll do that. We're pretty short, I would say. Button jams for 8. We're probably gonna have to use the really short stacks at the bottom, yeah. Or we could find maybe something similar from cutoff. No. Alright. So this isn't perfect, but yeah, this is not that great. Let's check out cutoff button. I mean, it's not the same spot, but let's give it a quick look, and then we'll check some of those bottom spots with a very short table average. So surprisingly, cutoff mostly likes to jam here. It does some like raising to 6. I wonder if any hands like lose a lot of EV, making it 6 instead. I'm just taking a look at the bottom right, going through some hands. And I'm comparing like raise 6, the EV of raising 6 to raising 8. I saw a couple hands with a small difference. Because most of the time here I go to like 5. I just do it with every hand. I think it's always nice to leave the option to open a fold. Because if we go like 6 here, it's being very slow today for some reason. You've just been learning to use HRC? Yeah. So I was using HRC for a little while. And then when I made the switch to GTO Wizard, I found myself not even using HRC for like several months, so I just unsubscribed. I do have some hands saved, so like if I don't feel like I get enough out of my so like I save hands in folders here. And if I feel like I don't get enough out of my analysis from GTO Wizard, I save it in this folder, exploit or HRC hands. Doesn't have that many, but when this folder gets large enough, I'm just going to resub to HRC and for like a month or whatever and just do a lot of exploitative work. Because I don't know, I don't like being subscribed because I don't use it a lot. But there are some spots where it's way better. So I'm just building up stuff for like a big study month or whatever using HRC. I don't love using it. I don't like setting up the spots. Like I found just learning like fundamentals and finding spots that are close being good enough. But I don't like that you can't node lock anything pre-flop or anything, which is you miss out on a lot if you can't like change pre-flop ranges. So that's obviously probably the biggest thing with HRC, and I think that's most of my hands that I have saved. Whatever. I don't know why I'm coughing here. Oh, it's been slow for you today? Okay, interesting. But yeah, if we make it 6 here and button goes all in. Oh, they're supposed to call, actually, mostly. That's probably, yeah, I mean, I think that's makes sense. I think most knowledgeable people would mostly just call here. Let's say they go all in. They make the mistake of going all in, and big blind calls, I guess. Now cutoff can fold most of their range. So that's why I like doing it, because like you can find so many folds in multi-way all-in spots. So I just do it with the whole range instead. But sometimes you see all-ins slightly preferred or whatever. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But let's see what button's supposed to go with. Let's say they jam. So this is cutoff button. In the video, it was button small blind, but button is nowhere near any of these hands. But this is a different spot. But this is only one shift of positions back. So yeah, so this is what we're looking at: ace 10 off, or ace 10 suited, ace 10 off, sixes. Let's go down here. So this is probably the closest thing we can find on here. Button jams for 9. Small blind covers, and they're covered by the big blind by 1. And small blind, yeah. Queen jack suited, nope. I thought king queen, king jack might get in there. But every time I look at these spots, I get reminded that when you're calling, it hates having anything other than an ace or a pair in your hand. I think that's true for a lot of Um, that's true for a lot of calling spots in like heavy ICM situations. So yeah, Nikita had like no clue. At least we were like, you know, at least we were a little less off. I would have probably thought King Queen suited gets in there, but yeah. So he seems to be pretty clueless in this spot, which is surprising because, you know, you would think he's a crusher, but he might just be, you know, I think he plays a lot of different formats, so he might just be really good at a lot of different formats, but he might just, maybe he's not like the best at any one format. I don't know, not sure.
Double KO to get us heads up. There's the jam. Now, Randy, good luck solving this one. Brewer's got 250 back. There's just too much.
He didn't leave enough behind to ever have a fold here. And Makita made the right play by at least calling instead of jamming. Hey, what's up, Scotty? Live is top heavy and uses BBA. Big blind ante. Interesting. Trying to understand what you're saying there. Because I'm not really sure, like, on how a big blind ante applies to strategy. And I don't think you're, like, justifying the queen jack, but you're saying the payouts are more top heavy? I'm not sure. I would feel like they would, you would just use like a, you know, a relatively like standard payout chart if you're hosting a tournament. But yeah, I still think it's a massive mistake. But I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Appreciate you guys watching. Don't mean to, but yeah, give me 1 minute. Thanks, guys. Okay, thanks for sticking around. So yeah, I was thinking, while I was in the bathroom, that this sim here, I think our calling range in the small blind is going to be, I think it's going to be wider in our situation here, and the reason is I think because the chip distribution in this spot has all short stacks, whereas here there's 2 big stacks and 2 short stacks, right? So everybody here has like more of an incentive to survive because anybody can bust, whereas in this spot the 2 big stacks are less likely to bust, right? So I think because of that, we're going to play a little bit looser. So maybe Nikita can go down to like, I don't know, ace-8 suited or something, king-queen suited. I mean, if you look at the EVs, like ace-8, king-queen are about the same. Maybe even ace-9 off, pocket 6s. Probably wouldn't go any wider than that, though. But anyway, let's get back to it.
Much money in the middle. Surely here we cannot be thinking about potentially laddering
He can't.
one spot.
He can't because he's out of position.
What'd you say? There's double the antes in the middle than an online MTT. And top-heavy payouts lead to lower risk premiums. Yeah, for sure. Let's actually see at the start of the hand. Let's see if that the ante thing is true. So I'm guessing it's going to be larger because the big blind ante doesn't change, but the table keeps getting shorter, right? So because of that, the ante is going to be larger short-handed than online MTT. Yeah, okay, exactly. Cool. All right. But let's just check it out. What are the antes at? So, well, I guess we can figure out here. So he goes all in at 1.4 million. Was 1.9 in the middle. So there's 500 to start. Yeah. Okay, so the blinds are 100, 200, 200. Okay, so I think what I said makes sense. It's interesting. It's a good, it's worth noting. I mean, I've never played with a big blind ante, so maybe that info will pay off in the future, but it's not gonna do anything for me now.
You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
No, he can never fold this.
And then Brewer's going to be forced all in 2 hands time, right? So.
You never fold here. Makita can fold behind.
And surely the size of the pot,
if you fold here,
1.4 million.
I mean, this would be a nightmare to see, to see you folding.
Yeah.
Wait, what? He called?
Actually, my equity's not that bad.
Oh my god. This was just a massive punt all around. Why would you do that? Yeah, it's an easy fold. He must just be like a cash game reg, right? Like he's really good at cash games. Maybe he's just like playing a tournament, doesn't really understand it. It just must be. What is happening here. This is just so clueless final table play. It's interesting.
You have like
It's not. He actually has more.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Makita's great. Like, I see him play a lot, but I guess I've never really... I think most of the stuff I watched from this guy was like cash games. So, I don't know. just cares about the title. Well, if you play Chip EV, you're gonna win more often. That's true, but you're gonna make a lot less money. So, if you care about winning more than money, I don't know. It seems pretty stupid to me, but maybe there's added EV for winning. Like you get your name. I don't know. You know, maybe something weird.
And
yeah,
bats,
whatever.
3 ways. Randy.
Can we check that multi-way spot here? Can I go back? Oh, okay, here. So this guy goes all in, right? Oh, let's say this guy makes it 6. Button calls. Let's just say the big blind jams. Cutoff calls. Wait. Cutoff is folding a lot here. Even though the big blind can still fold behind. I would have thought they had to go with most of their range because... Oh no, because button calls, so you're up against the 2 ranges, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, okay. Alright, so let's say we find the call. We're going to only find... The problem is we only find the call here with kings and queens. And then button finds a call with any 2. What? I would fold like ace 10 off, no problem. Ace jack off. We still have 4 behind if we fold. But we do cover the short stack. It's getting a really good price and only needs to beat 1 range. Yeah, and plus all these hands are really strong to begin with, right? So we're only calling 4. Okay. I thought there'd be some folds in this range, but I guess not. I guess we're looking at cutoff. Cutoff makes more sense to fold because the button is committing with a very tight range here. I mean, this even seems a little much. Cutoff, raise button. Button goes really wide here. Oh, I'm looking at big blind. I'm an idiot. Okay. Yep. Button goes... What was I looking at? See if this changes anything. I doubt it, right? Okay. Never mind. So it's on the cutoff that has the cutoff can fold a lot. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ace queen in an insane spot here to win the tournament. Yeah. Absolutely.
Very rare situation here. 4-handed, we're seeing a 3-way all in.
I mean, I have no idea if I have a
almost as good
fold
as
in
it
range
gets
after
here.
you fold.
Yeah. I was scared.
And it's the guy that covers both players that has the best hand. So all Christoph needs to do is hold.
Has like 40% heal.
Just put a jack for us.
I don't
No
have
one
folding
with a
percent on this
diamond.
flop.
How many
4.
big blinds do
Let's have a
the other
4.
hands have
Three-way
to start
chop.
the hand? Let's see.
That'd be great.
3-way chop?
3-way chop would be hilarious.
I don't think Vogelsing wants that.
It's incoming. See?
So he has 10.2. He's the chip leader. We've seen him win a couple big pots already. He's got 50 blinds. And then we're looking at Makita with 10, Chris Brewer with 8, Vogelsang with 21.
Wow, they're just both dead on the
You're
turn.
welcome.
GG,
Ace of clubs seals both Makita and Brewer's fate. So just like that, we go from four-handed
And then find a fold.
Yeah. But then
to
you might
heads
fold
up.
more too.
And we both fucked.
Yeah. I think. I get fold Makita.
It's a 1.348 million.
Huh. So is Brewer the one who actually made the mistake there? Let's see. God, it's not. Let's see. Cutoff button calls. Right? Like, I mean, we can't add in the pre-flop stuff, like I said, but button calls. Let's see. And then big blind all in. I mean, if Jack 9 suited is a fold, I would guess Jack 10's probably also a fold. But he also didn't leave enough behind to fold. He only left... He left one big blind behind. In this sim, they left 2 big blinds behind. So maybe in that case, we call these. Wow, these suited aces are terrible EV. Yeah, it looks like the suited middling hands are our strongest hands here. So I think with just one big blind behind, we probably call if we get into a situation with like one of these. But I would have left a lot more behind, I think. All right,
Set.
let's see the run out.
Ooh.
Wow, they're just both dead on the turn.
Game over.
Ace of clubs seals both Makita and Brewer's fate. So just like that, we go from four-handed
And then find a fold.
Yeah. But then
to
you might
heads
fold
up.
more too.
Oh, heads up. So that's kind of, I mean,
And we both fucked.
Yeah. I think.
it's kind of just over, just like that, huh? I guess it's a long heads up.
I get fold Makita.
It's a
I kind of actually want to
1.348
watch the
million.
heads up because outside of like pre-flop heads up, I'm relatively clueless like post-flop. Not super clueless, but when I'm, there's not a lot of situations in tournaments where you're gonna play super wide ranges other than like blind versus blind and heads up. Both those spots could use work for sure. I think I'm a little bit better at blind versus blind post-flop than heads up. So
Makita.
should be some good spots,
well
even
done.
though it's not. The tournament's
I think
kind of over.
Six-figure buy-in tournament in poker history. We saw the Triton. It came in with a lot of swag, coming in against some of the Triton OGs to then take it down for
Let's see,
5.5 million.
We are a little over 40 effective here, heads up. So my initial thoughts is, at least my approach here is if I'm greater than 35 effective, I just play a pure raise. I know Theory likes to mix some hands and just play calls. I find that overcomplicating. I like the limps are obviously, or like the just calls are obviously like more important less than 35. But I think greater than 35, I don't like overcomplicating pre-flop. I mean, I know I have to play a slightly tighter range because I don't limp, but I mean, like I don't want to think about all these frequency. I think it's just ridiculous. I think I'm just gonna like pretty much just raise, like, I'm gonna fold some of these bottom hands that call and just play a pure raise. That's how I think about it. I think it's more simple, but when you get to like 30, that's not really a relevant strategy. You definitely have to mix at this point. And then, like, you know, the shorter we get, I think, without looking, I want to think of the threshold where we stop raising in position. We either play a call or a shove. I want to say it's 13 or 12. We don't raise anymore. Let's go with 13. So let's check 13. Okay, so we're not raising. We're just shoving or calling. Let's see 14. Start to do some raising, but it's still not really relevant. Like, I'd rather just play the call here with everything. So maybe greater than 15. I mean, that's a little bit more relevant raising. 16, more relevant. 18, very relevant. So probably just like less than 15, just like stop raising heads up in position. Just play the call or shove. Right? Mixing for 20 to 30% sounds ridiculous to me. What, like deep? 50? Yeah, I don't know. That's, I looked at, the first time I looked at a heads up range, I'm like, I'm not doing this. This is such a waste of time. Like, I could learn so many other things. 20 big blinds, we have limps, right? Yes, for sure. Anything up to 35, I say. Doesn't actually go to 35. Why do I think 35? It might be... Where did I get the 35 number from? I've had this number in my head a long time. It might be from the heads up course in the Raise Your Edge masterclass, because there's no 35 range here. So yeah, I probably got it from that. Like 30 is looking like this, and then 40. I mean, it's definitely relevant. Like 35% is a lot. Let's go to 50. I mean, 30% is a lot. But it mostly, I think this strategy is relevant because it brings all of these, like, pure calling hands, it brings them into play. It, like, gives them a lot of value when you just call. I think that's why the strategy, like, the strategy builds itself around that, is my thinking. But simplify, maybe even 40, like, just greater than 40, just pure raise, less than 40, add limps, kind of how I think about it. So 7-3, if you're playing a limping strategy, I think you get in there. If you're just playing a raise only strategy as deep, I'd probably, oh, it still says it's actually 0.01 as a raise, so you can even play this. Let's see which hands don't. I mean, 5 deuce off even makes 0.01 raising. So maybe I'm folding a few too many hands heads up. So raising 8-3 off is bad, minus 0.02. But pretty much everything that's getting played can even be played as a raise, from what I'm seeing. So,
now,
choice by him to play the hand.
We have this 125k with 3 million up top.
So now we're 40 effective, out of position versus a limp. So how are we gonna structure our range here? I think it just likes to mix a lot of stuff. I think mostly in the offsuit hands. Like, I think I tend to do a little more polar, I think, but maybe deeper you want to be more linear. Like, let's see what we're supposed to do. 40 heads up, call, big blinds response. So this is very linear, and I think that's because we're deeper. So like it's choosing the stronger hands and then like once we get out of the stronger hands, it starts to like mix some of the medium hands, but it doesn't really touch the bottom hands, right? So that's what I mean by linear. Let's see, like 20 effective, it gets more polar. So a little more polar, 20 effective. Small blind limps in position. Now it kind of looks like it doesn't really want to touch the suited hands unless it's a strong enough one to go for like facing all in with. Pretty much the suited tens, suited connectors. All these hands can raise to 3 and then versus an all in call. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So, but as you can see here, we're more polar. We choose pretty much any offsuit hand and just like mix it in there a little bit. It's pretty low frequency, so I guess, I mean, it's not that important to be like on point with your frequencies, but it's worth noting. Like maybe you only choose like a certain select hands. So like because we're more polar in this situation, I usually like when I'm playing heads up, I'm usually just bluffing with like the weaker hands versus a limp, because my idea is like if I raise like, you know, 7 deuce off, right? Obviously it actually likes 7 deuce off, probably one of the most beneficial hands. And the reason is we raise to 3, right? And we start folding off 7-3, 7-4, 7-5. So that's why I kind of like to choose the bottom hands the most, because we get like more out of it. We fold more hands that are better than us. But theory likes to mix. I'm guessing this is like probably for like board coverage reasons. But anyway, so deeper stacked, we're more linear. We pretty much just want to raise value hands versus the limp. We do want to mix in some like medium hands that we're going to fold, but we don't want to take from the bottom crap. And then when we're shorter, we can be more polar and take garbage hands.
Huang Wenji for taking down that main event.
After seeing that,
Jungle Man Dan came second for 3.5 million.
Right? At least in theory.
Now we've got Punt squaring off against Vogelsang.
He agrees, he checks back.
We have something that could be of interest here. Bottom pair versus the flush draw. Definitely see Punsri just, you know, kind of protect his hand a little bit. Just a pair of 3s.
In position, limp pot. So from my experience, in a limp pot, you're going to c-bet less than in a raised pot. And maybe that sounds kind of obvious, but you know, maybe you need a reminder or whatever. I mean, maybe it's not super obvious. Do I want to bring up an example? Not really. We just kind of looked. Let's watch some hands.
Check is.
But in general, I've looked at the spots before. If you limp pre, you're gonna bet the flop in position a lot less than if you raised pre.
Okay as well.
So
Looking to clear
what
out
do we think about him betting? It's probably a good board to probably close to pure bet, even though we're limping, would be my guess. It shouldn't take long to set up, actually. Let's check it out. It's called big blind, jack deuce, right? We're not raising, but it's pretty close, so you can get in there with some of these hands, but for the most part, it's pretty linear. So small blind or big blind checks back. Oh, was I looking at the wrong range? I was not. Okay. King 3 of hearts, 4 of clubs. Okay, so we do some checking. 44% of the time. Now let's duplicate this, and we'll literally look at the spot where we'll look at the same board, but if small blind opens to 2 and then big blind calls, and we'll compare. But good amount of checking. I thought this board might, I guess we could AI solve it. It's probably better. I like that better. I use AI solve as much as I can. I like when it suggests only one sizing. Ever since I've used this used the AI solve for post flop stuff, it just opened my eyes to like never splitting your sizings pretty much. I unless it's like there's some different situations like on turn and river with like different board textures you split from what I've seen, but for the most part, if you can keep it to one size, I try to. But anyway, what were we doing here? So let's compare it to an open raise pot. So small blind raises, big blind calls, and we got king of hearts, 4 of clubs, 3 hearts. It's AI solve. Let's put on some light music. I guess never mind. I forgot we were watching the YouTube video. Okay, so now small blind is betting 74% of the time compared to 60. So it's not that big of a deal. Like, I think it's partially because of the board. We're still doing a ton of betting. Like, it seems like a really good board for imposition, but again, I'm not really in tune with the big blind limping ranges this deep, or like the small blinds limping ranges. It's going to be wide and diverse, so maybe it's, because of that, it's not that great. But yeah, as you can see, I was, sort of correct. We're raising more in the raised pots.
Equity. Clearly, that's not going to work against.
So, after seeing that, are we going to bet the 7-3? I don't like betting a 3 much at all, unless it's like maybe like ace 3, like queen 3, because there's like no protection, like not much protection needed. Like if he has a 4, like if it was like 3-8 king, I think I like betting maybe the 3 a hair more, but because he can, there's no separation in between the bottom 2 pairs on the board, so I feel like our 3 doesn't really want to bet. It is nice to have the heart though, so maybe we're just like too strong. Not only the heart, but we have the backdoor straight draw, so maybe this 3 does get in there. Let's see. This is the limp pot. It is. Okay, so small blind, 7-3. So it does like betting with the heart. Okay, but for the most part, checking anything else. So I guess we were thinking in the right direction there. Let's see if he finds the bet.
Focusing flush draw.
Question is, does Vogel play this one aggressively?
Oh, he does find the bet. We already see it. Okay.
Probably not. Well, it looks like he is grabbing chips.
Jack deuce.
It depends on how you play the rest of your ranges.
Like
if you're check raise bluffing a bit more, then you want to be able to make some hands when you do get
See
called.
if we're right about that.
I suppose he's check raising some king X's on the flop.
Alright. Small blind bets. Jack deuce of hearts. Not pure. Okay, it's mixing. I figured like... I figured we'd see some like queen deuce of hearts, jack deuce, these heart draws maybe pure, but I guess not. It might be the board texture, like the king high boards are not as good to raise. Okay, so yeah, so it likes to raise the heart draws that have 2 overcards to the second pair, which I think I've seen in other spots as well. So it's kind of confirming this a little bit for me. Get it in my head a little more. Anyway.
Otherwise, he's just too heavily weighted to draws.
So Jack
or
deuce
just pure
doesn't mind
airballs.
mixing this hand, but think you'd rather have
Hand
like
might not
Jack
be
5 of
over yet.
hearts, something like that.
It is
25.
kind of a big raise, 4x. But then again, like, the 3 could be good. He's got some decent
It is a big
properties
size.
for back doors with the 7 of hearts.
Solver chooses a
He's
3x
clicking
size.
it back. So he believes the 3 is a bit vulnerable, of course, and he blocks some of the value. So 2 pairs basically.
Wow. This guy 3-bet clicks the flop here. Let's see if this is a thing. I almost never raise in position. It's a very small thing, but it's not, I don't know, it's not relevant enough for me. Like, I would never do this. It might be a good exploit for certain players, but I'm not sure how to, like, identify what players and why. Let's see if it takes the 7-3 though. So it takes the 7-3 with the heart and the club. It wants to be very specific. Oh, yeah, the heart and the club. Yeah, okay. So he has a heart, but he doesn't have a club. So solver doesn't like it, but it's not far off. It's not far off.
basically.
But I will say, I think this play has more value in practice than in theory, but because I think it puts people in like a weird spot, at least if they're like bluffing appropriately. Because I don't think a lot of people like understand how to continue versus this. I'm pretty sure you only play like a pure call versus like the 3-bet in position. But let me see. I could be wrong. I mean, it's not a spot like I'm looking at a ton. So this guy's going to raise in position, right? Big blind. Does some more raising, okay. Maybe it's because of our stack depth. We're only 40 effective. Alright. But yeah, my point was, like, I think a lot of, it's like, I think there's EV in other places that solvers can't find, and I think if you put your opponent in like an uncomfortable situation, I think there's value for that, value in that. But I'm not really sure how to like put a value on that. I just think there is some kind of value in it.
A limped pot has turned into a 3-bet pot on the flop, king 4-3, 2 hearts, and we have bottom pair against the jack high flush draw. 3.8 million in the middle. Ace of clubs on the turn. Vogelsang now picking up addition.
My guess is the ace of clubs is so good for. Oh no. Oh, this is a different spot. Okay. If he just check raised and he called pre, or on the flop, sorry. If he when he check raises the flop, and if in position only calls, I'm pretty sure on this turn card we play close to a pure check, because it's such a better card for in position. I mean, it's also a limp pot heads up, so maybe that's not as much of a thing, but I think for the most part, like, you pretty much shut down on your check raises on, like, turn cards that are way more, like, in favor of the other player.
Outs.
But it does seem enticing to maybe continue in that scenario.
What's going on, Randy?
Like, okay, so Punt's 3-bet back. 3-bet the flop?
Does he just has an insane read on the situation and just always puts Vogelsang on flush draws or some, 7, 5, 5, 6, but it feels so unlikely when he has the 7 of hearts in hand.
Yeah, clearly he blocks some of that. We are playing heads up, so there's a lot of the other garbage out there, like, just more so. Regardless, though, I guess the question is, does he want to turn the 3 into a bluff? For him to have 3-bet the flop like he's blocking
would guess because of the heart, we don't want to continue bluffing. Like it's hard to put him on it. Like I don't even know how to like structure a 3-bet in position like flop raise. But I would imagine we just continue with stuff we have no equity with.
In value,
know.
basically, which is 2 pair. King 3, 3, 4.
5 seconds.
Oh, that's weird.
Check.
He checks it back. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. 2 pair. Vogel just has jack high.
Oh, what a river card for Punt 3.
It's very disguised, of course. And Punt 3's range looks pretty weak, man. He 3-bet the flop and check back that turn. Vogel might just try and represent like the 6-5. I could see it.
Yeah, Punt 3 now able to absorb aggression a lot easier given this 7 of spades on the river.
Like Vogel has 6-5. He's got deuce 5.
Do the open-enders check raise flop though? That is the question, right?
They might. They're more likely to the deeper they are, which they started with, what, 40 big blinds or so. They're less likely on 20 big blinds and less, just
I
because
feel like these
they're not
spots
looking
can
to
be
get chips in.
so like mentally taxing. Cause like it's like you're in a spot that's very unfamiliar to you, and you're trying to like think about ranges, and it's just like you can try to think about it, but like if you're not solid in this spot, it's just gonna be like a lot of thoughts going through your head that are just like where you're uncertain about. It's like hard to come to a conclusion, I feel like. I mean, I feel like you kind of almost want to bet from Vogelsang's point of view, but you also have, like, hearts are not great. But, like, what else do you even bluff here? Like, I don't know. It's such a weird spot. I feel like you have to, right? Like, he's reaching for chips, so it's kind of spoiled, but yeah. I mean, heart draws that I like. If you had the queen of hearts, maybe you don't bluff, but like any other heart, you go for. I mean, it's you also kind of want to like. Yeah, I don't know. See, like this is what happens in my brain when I get into these spots. So maybe I should just shut up and watch the rest. Like I'm trying to think of things that I'm just not sure about, so it's kind of like.
How many chips is he pushing? Is he pushing all of them, Henry?
It certainly looks that way, Randy. He's left 50k back. It's close to a 2x river pot effective jam. Punt 3's river.
I don't know if I like jamming this large. If I don't block 6-7, like 6-5. But I guess it's fine.
2 pair is the best card in the deck for him, other than a 3, of course.
See, this is like a spot I think you maybe like split your ranges on the river. Just depending on your blockers. If you have good blockers, you can jam. If you have bad blockers, you go smaller. And then you can kind of split up your value like that as well, I think.
But still losing to those flop 2 pairs that you were talking.
Like if you have a set of 3s, a set of 4s, maybe like 2 pair with the ace, you jam. If you have 6-5, you jam. If you have like, you know, maybe if you have like king 3 here, 4-3, something like that, you go smaller. It's kind of my thinking from what I've seen in the past.
About.
I mean, he beats 3-4 if that's a thing, so a little bit of value he beats. He doesn't block the straights at all. Deuce 5, 5, 6. But his hand is so under-repped. that he might feel very compelled to call. Like, Punt could have, like, King, Queen, King, Jack that might have 3-bet the flop and be scared of the ace.
Yeah, and would a
Can't
hand
fold.
like 7-5,
Says he can't
7-6,
fold.
one chip flick in, can't fold,
That's the
and
tournament.
Puntri has 18.6 million chips. Vogelsang is down to a quarter of a
he's
big
still-
blind,
he's
Randy.
still got something.
I think you're right. And obviously he had equity to just get there too because he had a flush draw.
So,
He's in. 10-3
What
offsuit.
is this?
The plushie's happy.
What is that plushie?
number one
Anybody recognize that
on
thing?
Thailand's all-time money list, two-time champion with 64%
I have no idea
equity,
what that's from.
has the best hand. All he
All
needs
right, we
to
know it's over. Come
be
on.
joining the three-time champion club,
He ain't
and
coming
it's
back
looking
from this.
pretty good on the lot of the time. And
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.